For years, talk about climate tech has been filled with hope. Hope that technology would mature. Hope that investment would follow. Hope that policy would catch up. And I'll be honest, this is the part where things start to feel a little pie in the sky. You know what I mean? Sweeping claims, big adjectives, the occasional slow clap for transforming the world. I'm not really wired that way. So to keep us honest, I added some graphs. For folks in the audience who, like me, still need evidence that what we're talking about is actually happening. Because the truth is we've moved beyond hope. Across every major sector, energy, materials, manufacturing, and mobility, the transition isn't hypothetical anymore. Last year, 90% of new global power capacity came from renewables. That's data from the International Energy Administration, the Bloomberg New Energy Finance, and IRENA. That's not ambition, that's evidence. As my former boss, David Crane, recently said, the energy transition isn't waiting for permission, it's already being built. So the question now isn't if the transition will happen, it's how fast, how boldly we'll build what comes after hope. Everywhere we look, we see signs of unstoppable momentum. Here are 5 signals that tell us this transition is inevitable. First, ambition has become in evidence. Solar, wind, and battery costs have fallen by more than 80% in the last decade. And for the first time, clean energy additions now outpace fossil fuel construction worldwide. The dream of clean energy has become an engineering reality, and markets are responding faster than any policy ever could. The second signal, markets have grown up. The tourist crowd, the dabblers chasing trends, they're gone. What remains is a focused core of conviction-led innovators, investors, and builders. They're not speculating anymore, they're scaling. Purpose and execution are now aligned, and that's what every industry looks like right before acceleration. So, for those who want proof, deal counts are down, but checks are getting bigger. That's conviction-led investment. It's a sign of market confidence, not contraction. Third, economics drive adoption, because the moment the cleaner option becomes the cheaper, better performing one, adoption becomes inevitable. Take Blue Frontier, one of VoLo Earth's portfolio companies. Air conditioning is one of the biggest drains on the grid, especially during summer peaks. Blue Frontier's system combines superior cooling performance with built-in energy storage, shifting up to 12 hours of demand without batteries. It delivers up to 90% better efficiency than conventional systems, and actually, get this, gets more efficient as temperatures rise. In other words, it turns one of the grid's biggest problems into a resilience solution. That's the new economics of climate tech, solving environmental pain points by design. The fourth signal, inefficiency creates opportunity. The market still trails the scale of the challenge, held back by uncertainty, policy that's uneven, and legacy systems. But those gaps, they're not barriers, they're frontiers. Take Nth Cycle, which extracts critical minerals from old batteries and e-waste without toxic chemicals or overseas supply chains. They're scaling faster than incentives can even catch up, because conviction fills the space where policy hesitates. And here's what that looks like in data. Recycling and recovery are accelerating exponentially, while policy and primary extraction are still crawling by comparison. So if you look at the orange and blue lines, policy and extraction are lagging behind the technological momentum that's already reshaping supply chains. And if you look at the green line, after 2025, we start to see rapid scaling of recycling. That's the compounding payoff of innovation leading the way. This is exactly the gap that companies like Nth Cycle are filling, turning inefficiency into advantage and policy delay into market opportunity. And that brings us to the fifth signal, resilience wins. The most transformative companies aren't just disruptive, they're durable. Like XGS Energy, redefining geothermal power with closed-loop wells that tap steady heat from the earth, delivering 24/7 clean baseload energy without relying on scarce water, fuel, or even specific geology. And that same resilience principle is now shaping the entire grid. In the US alone, small-scale distributed energy installations are growing nearly 30% year over year. From geothermal baseload power to distributed solar and storage, we're seeing a shift toward energy systems that can bend, adapt, and keep running when conditions change. That's what resilience looks like, durable models that compound progress like a flywheel gaining speed. Now, our job is to scale what works, to act with urgency, to invest with purpose, to lead with proof. We don't need another inspirational monologue about believing in the future. We need the data, the courage, the conviction to build it. This is the era of pragmatic idealism, doing what works at the speed the planet requires. Because optimism isn't a mood anymore, it's a measure of progress. The energy transition won't be defined by those who predicted it. It will be defined by those who have the conviction to build it. And that's the work ahead of us. Not someday, not someone else. Us, here, now. That's what comes after hope.